And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. It is episode 1 of Hake's Take. It used to be Coach's Corner, but now with the season over, we're going to keep things rolling from here at Kufleitner, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and Boardman. It's DJ Yoakley, and it is the living legend, the real American, Andy Hake, with you today. And we got a lot to talk about. We got high school football. We got the madness that was NFL this past weekend, and nobody knows that stuff better than you. Last night was atrocious for me.
How about the officiating yesterday?
Let's not go there.
How about that?
A win's a win. That's how I see it.
Oh,
a win's a win.
I'm a Bears fan, and the Bears are not as good as the Steelers, period. But when I just watching that, I was slack-jawed at the officiating.
The hip check?
How about that?
Oh, come on, man.
And the Bears are not as good as the Steelers. The Steelers have a great team. Their defense is
They should have lost that game. As a Steelers fan, they should have lost that game.
I'm a Bears and Browns fan, so I'm just used to taking beatings. But it is what it is, and the officiating was terrible.
It was bad. The football was bad last night. I mean, you look at what the Steelers did offensively, and I'm sitting there like, how did they win? What did they do? And then you look at all the penalties.
You know what I'm done listening to? Ben Roethlisberger should retire. You know, Ben Roethlisberger is one of the best quarterbacks, a Hall of Fame quarterback. When he feels like retiring, he can retire because you know what? He's better than most of the quarterbacks in the league. And you know what? I know he's older. I know there's flaws. You could talk about anybody. But who are you going to replace him with? Because they don't have somebody to replace him with.
They don't grow on trees.
And that guy is nothing but a winner. He's a winner, man.
50 game-winning drives in his career.
Isn't that
only
crazy?
with Manning, Brady, and Breeze.
All right, think about that list you just said. I'm taking, hey, Ben, you keep playing, and they'll prop you up like the old man of Europe until you're done.
Uncle Bernie, man. It's going to be Uncle Bernie. They're just carrying him around like Uncle Bernie. And listen, he's earned the right at this point to go out however he wants to go out. But the last couple weeks, man, I'm telling you, it's been a different feel. It just hits different because with Ben, waiting in Cleveland and kind of giving the wave on his way out, it just feels like this is the goodbye tour, the farewell tour. I don't like it. My favorite quarterback of all time, my favorite Steeler.
Fun. He's fun.
But my gosh, I'm not ready for it, man.
Right.
I saw Bettis go. I saw Paul, like all those guys that when I was a puppy watching my Steelers and they were winning championships, I'm not ready for Ben to go.
Yeah.
Because I was there when Tomczak was the quarterback and O'Donnell was the quarterback and Stewart and Kent Graham and the list goes on. And we finally – Tommy Maddox. And then we get Ben Roethlisberger and it's like, okay, we're good for 18 years.
It's unbelievable, isn't it, when you get a guy like that? Made the Packers look so good all those years when they had Favre and then Rodgers.
Oh.
And then you see Jordan Love come in last week and you go, oh, wow.
Now, let me ask you a question because, you're adamant about some of this stuff, and we're not going to get political per se, but Aaron Rodgers can write his ticket now, right? With seeing what Jordan Love did, or I guess didn't do, Aaron Rodgers can write his own ticket to wherever he wants to go. If he wants to stay in Green Bay, he'll be in Green Bay forever.
Yeah.
But does he want to stay in Green Bay?
Doesn't seem like him and the executives really see eye to eye on
I don't think so. And he's making to me, personally, my humble opinion, he's making a great stand in the NFL. Some people don't have the brass to do, and he's making a stand, and give credit where State Farm is. They're standing behind him.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
I mean, there's certain quarterbacks that you just admire watching them play, and it's not because of their just God-given ability, but Peyton Manning was like an all-timer for me watching. He changed football as far as I was concerned, just calling things at the line, and he revolutionized offense. I admired him for that. Aaron Rodgers is a real gutsy guy, and he's a winner. And, I know people judge. Some people say, hey, if you don't win a Super Bowl, you don't belong in this conversation. But, Dan Marino was in that conversation, and he sure was one of the best ever. And I think that Aaron Rodgers, I would love to have him with the Bears or the Browns. You know what I mean? And I like Baker Mayfield. Justin Fields is a project, but he'll be
he's going to be good.
Seems like there's promise there. But if you said you could have Aaron Rodgers, I just think that's like
sign me up.
Tom Brady. It's like,
Where's the pen?
Right. Again, it's like a Ben Roethlisberger. Where are you going to get a guy like that? If Ben Roethlisberger told the Steelers, I'm leaving, and the Browns could get him, wouldn't that be an interesting conversation? I know Baker Mayfield's
my stomach hurts just thinking about that.
It'd be a nightmare. It'd be a nightmare.
I'd hurl. Hey, hands down. I'd be happy for him. Because if the Steelers
would you be?
I would be. He's an Ohio guy.
Yeah.
And that's like he got drafted. I think it was my freshman year in college.
Okay.
And I thought to myself, Ohio guy playing for my team.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for this guy no matter what.
Yeah.
Like I'm burn the ships, baby.
Right.
I'm on the island.
Yeah, right.
I'm on the island. So it worked out for me. But, there's some that didn't, from our standpoint. All right. So we go from the Steelers to that. We're going to get to high school, obviously, here on Hake's Take with Andy Hake. Coach, take me through, as a Browns and a Bears fan, the OBJ scenario in a locker room. A lot of people are making a lot out of this.
Can't win with them.
Yeah, what do you do?
I have nothing. I don't know the guy. I have nothing against the guy, but when you have a personality that's becomes detrimental,
and you think that's what this is?
For the progress of the team or the organization or whatever, and it's becoming such a distraction. What's the point in doing some of the things that take away from the team? If you're upset with something, there's a proper way and an appropriate way to address a situation. I don't hate him. I don't know him. I marvel at his ability, but it's almost like that Antonio Brown when it became, hey, this is too much. You're taking away from our mission, our cause. And I actually commend the Browns for having the gumption to say, hey, we're going to cut this now. We're 4-4. We have to win games. That Cincinnati game, I think, was a do or die for them.
Yep.
It was a real critical point of the season, and they flourished without him. And there's other guys. I know it's a league of players. You need players, but you also don't need people that are going to distract from the cause. And it seems to me that there are certain guys that have an attitude about them or an ego that they are above the situation. And it's not just pro. It's in every
locker room.
Every locker room. And you either have to control those people or I hate saying get rid of them because I'm not a big get rid of guys. And you know what? I can tolerate and fix situations. I think as a coach, that's what's your greatest gift. Well, be able to work with young people and try to get them to see the right way. But when you get to a point where you can't do that. And for some reason or another, sometimes it's personality, sometimes it's the individual.
Yeah.
And he's never won a playoff game. He's never played in a playoff game and they won. Did he play last year when they beat Pittsburgh?
No.
He didn't play.
No.
He's never been in a playoff game where they won.
No.
And I'm not mocking him. His abilities, I remember him catching some of these balls and it's like some of the most memorable catches. But when your ego far exceeds your ability, even when it doesn't, you can't have guys like that are going to be detriment to the cause. And he's gotten to the point where, and I don't know why his dad decided to do that, or
you're not a big fan of social media and all that stuff. You're not a big fan of anyway, because it can be a tool, or you can look like a tool. And that's what I always say about social media.
Most of the time,
yep,
you look like a tool.
Yep.
Most of the time when you're tweeting and texting and I mean, really, I don't want to get political, but look at our past president. When I know that's a way to get to your base, to communicate through social media.
Yep.
But you could also really backfire, and people could spin it any way they want. Once you put your view out there, once you put your opinion out there, the haters will hate and the lovers will love. And if they don't like what you're saying and they don't like you, they're going to spin it a certain way. And spin's a powerful thing. What do they say? The truth will set you free, but a lie is immortal.
Yep.
And someone could, you put your feelings out there. Always remember, when you put your feelings out there on the internet, kids, or your thoughts, you're opening yourself up to ridicule, to things that, hey, I just felt like this. Well, someone else felt like that with what you said. And I don't know why his dad put that out there. I don't know why. And his dad might be a heck of a guy, frustrated. There's ways to go about it.
Yep.
And there are ways not to. And I think he's going to find himself in a worse situation than what he was in.
See, I think he's going to be in a great situation now, because you look at the way that they constructed this deal out of town, and the waiver deal has come and gone.
Okay.
Nobody picked him up, at least to this point. So now he becomes a free agent. He can go wherever he wants. So now he says he wants to play for a contender.
Don't we all?
Now listen, as a Steelers fan, it doesn't hurt me to say this, but the Browns are a contender. The Browns are just as much a contender as anybody he's going to go to. So if he really feels that way, why doesn't he just
love the one you're with?
That's it, man. Because I was always told, and this is another tip for you out in social media land, when you put yourself on a pedestal, the arrows have a straighter path to get you.
That's the truth,
right,
brother.
So when and it not necessarily was him, but you talk, LeBron did it, free OBJ, all that stuff. His dad came out and did it. There were so many people that were in. You saw the shirts on Sunday, free OBJ. But Baker's wife does the same thing for him. And I'm not sitting there saying, hey, put a muzzle on everybody, because everybody can have an
free
opinion.
Speech. You're allowed to do that.
But when you're breaking in that kind of cash and you're that close in that inner circle, lay low. And if you don't lay low, part of me says that it was concocted from the originator being that person.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's
he was disgruntled, and maybe I don't even want to assume things on that, but he was very frustrated. You look at his numbers; he is an all-pro player, and he just didn't have his play didn't reflect his ability. And maybe that's because some balls weren't thrown to him.
Well, so from a coach's perspective, when you got a guy that you have so much talent throwing the ball and so much talent catching the ball, how do you handle that stuff when somebody feels slighted?
Well, I think it always comes down to personal conversations, and then the team. It's the team, the cause. What's the cause? It's for us to win games, and in some games you're going to have big games. Some games you're just the shine isn't going to be on you.
Mm-hmm.
And as an adult that's getting paid millions of dollars, let's face the facts. Who else is going to pay these guys the salaries they're getting for what they're doing? You're playing a kid's game and you're getting paid millions of dollars. I remember Charles Barkley said, "I'm not a role model. Parents are role models," and that's true. Hey, that's true. But at the same time, you're getting paid millions of dollars to represent an ideal, and it's people are allowed to make mistakes. People are allowed to voice their opinion, but in the end, it's the cause. And what's your cause you're fighting for? And I just think that he became, at a critical point of the now, if they were 7-1 or 6-2, maybe they could have just dealt with this and said, "Hey, look, put baby in the corner for a minute."
Hey, I like that. But I know where that came from.
Right. But I think at this point, juncture of the season, it's this is we're 4-4, and any kind of negativity, and we lose, it's going to tank.
It's double.
It's going to tank us, and I just felt that they felt it's too much.
Yep.
And I hope the best for him. I hope wherever he goes, he does a good job, because he's fun to watch. I don't think that he's not out there saying me stuff.
Do you feel like the fans have power in this? I mean, this is the same guy that wore a watch a couple years ago on the field and was getting paid to do so, getting fined, but he was making way more than he was geting fined. And they loved him.
NFL's beyond me. NFL's beyond me, because I love the innocence of high school football. Right? I'm a high school football junkie.
Yep.
They do College Game Day, and Kurt Herbstreit and Lee Corso and them guys do that.
Yeah.
This to me is high school game day, because I want to talk about the innocence of high school football.
Let's do it.
Why kids are playing for their communities, for their schools, because they love playing football, not because they're getting paid, because and that's beyond me. Some of that stuff. Hey, when the players are making more than the coach, when the players are making more than, I don't even know how I would approach that situation.
Yeah.
Other than maybe Bill Parcells and Belichick have the right attitude. You're going to do it this way, or you're going to be gone.
Yep.
And I'm not going to be mean to you about it. I'm just going to be matter of fact.
There it is.
Nick Saban type. Hey, I'm just going to be very matter of fact. You're either going to do it this way, or I'm just going to find somebody else. And because when you're dealing with that money, those players know I'm on a contract. I'm getting all this money.
You can't do nothing.
I don't. Yeah, coach, I'll ask you. So as a coach and as an organization, I think the organization has to have the coach's back. And I think they have Stefanski's back in this case. And he said, it's too much. Yeah. So they said, do what you got to do, coach. Yep. And they excused him from practice a few days. And you don't know what transpired during that time. He might have had a real indignant attitude. Or he might have said, it wasn't me, it was my dad. I don't know. I don't know what that is.
The narrative is all controlled by the media, and whichever side you take. I mean, that's what it is nowadays in everything. You know what I mean? It's whatever article you read. So I like what you said. Let's talk about the innocence of high school football, because we got a lot of it going on. Last week was incredible. Some teams having to bow out, but all of our teams representing very, very well. Let's talk about, first and foremost, this Canfield Cardinals team.
Yes.
really showing up, showing out. Hubbard impressed me a lot with their defense.
No, they play ball.
Unbelievable.
No, Hubbard was game. And
Yep.
I know that they came off of a couple weeks ago, them probably feeling down about the South Range situation. Yeah. And then, they won big in the first round. And you got to play Canfield. And Canfield is a tremendous team.
Yep.
And Hubbard fought them very tough. They were game. I thought their coaching staff did a good job. Canfield has a tremendous team. And they have their hands full this week, but what a great matchup, them and Chardon. Chardon won the state last year. They return a lot of guys. This game's at Girard. Canfield has one of the better quarterbacks, I feel, in the area, and I have 9 quarterbacks. I think this is the deepest we'll talk about this a little bit, but the deepest quarterback situation. I think this is the best quarterback the Valley has seen since I can remember. And we'll talk about that in a little bit, but I have these names written down.
The class you're talking about.
But just right now.
Yep.
Right now. And I just let the candid facts be submitted to the world, and then let somebody else protest this, because there might have been better quarterbacks, but as a unit, I see 9 quarterbacks in this area that have put up unbelievable numbers, unbelievable success, and have led their teams for years to this level of play. And the proof's in the pudding. Some of these guys are offered big time scholarships, and the guys that aren't can be playing, and they eventually probably will get play college football. But I like Canfield's team. I like their team every year. I think their coach does a tremendous job. He's going to have these guys ready. Their quarterback's going to keep them in this game, and I think their defense, they always play ball. Their defense is always game. I wouldn't be surprised to see Canfield win this game. At the same time, that's a monumental task, because I know Chardon is tremendous.
So let me ask you this. And we did an article on kind of Road Warriors and how far they're going to achieve this victory to get to the next round, week 14. Canfield has to travel 15.1 miles. That's a 22-minute drive from doorstep to doorstep. Chardon, 48.7 miles. That's an hour drive. Advantage Canfield?
Yes.
Do you like that? I mean, from a standpoint, I said in the story, they're going to need every advantage they can get, and that's no disrespect.
No, right.
But this is the first domino.
I mean, college and pros going into hostile environments, taking long trips, especially East Coast, West Coast, that's a big time advantage. I mean, I can't begin to. I remember a couple of weeks ago they said on Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football, an East Coast team went West Coast. I can't remember the game, and they said. The team that had to travel was 1-14 over the X amount of years.
Wow.
And on those games. And it just goes to show you the travel, the time, the screw up with the clock.
Sleeping in your own bed.
Honestly. Yeah. And then playing in hostile environments. High school football is hostile, but it's not
awful. You're not going across country.
And people aren't, it's not as loud when you're on defense. Yeah. It's not as intense.
You've been in those buses, right? Where you're driving a couple hours to get to a game.
Yeah.
What is it like? I mean, most people sit there and they go, "Oh, that's taking its toll on you." I've been on those bus rides too. You put your headphones on, you're cool, you're calm, and you focus on the task at hand.
Let's keep things down, gentlemen. Yeah. Let's keep things quiet.
Yeah.
You could talk to the guy next to you, but keep it down. Nobody wants to hear you. There's some guys that need to be relaxed. My take is always this. There's some guys that want to be loose. Mm-hmm. And loose is a funny thing, because in the locker room, I always say, I don't want talking.
Yeah.
If you want to talk, there's other places to go.
Yep.
If you want to be loose and
it's a sanctuary,
walk out.
Yep.
Walk to the weight room or walk outside of the locker room but when you're in the locker room, there's certain guys that for them to get ready, they need to be focused and quiet. Mm-hmm. They don't need all kind of distractions. So that's the team. Respect that situation. And then outside the locker room, if you want to be loose and you want to jive a little bit and talk to your buddy, and because that's how you are, that's fine. But as you get closer to game time, and that's 5:45, that's always the special teams are on the field at 5:45.
Yeah.
But you want to keep things regimented. And I always felt bus rides were fun. I always liked going to opponents' places.
Oh, yeah.
And being the dog and being, the rebel warrior and approaching things like that and get your guys convinced. Hey, we're going to somebody else's turf and we need to be up. So I think that it's a little advantage for Canfield, but they're both getting on a bus. They're both going to Girard. And both can be kicking off at 7:00, and they both have great teams. It's both going to be packed. So
that's a quaint stadium too. You know what I mean? That's
Girard's a beautiful setup.
I love that stadium, but it's also, I mean, if you're looking at a high school football environment, that's what I think of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now everybody wants the big stadium. It's not necessarily a big stadium. You're packed in there like sardines, but it is, that there's a lot of people there.
Girard, and they built a real palladium there. That's
they really did
place.
Well. They did really well. All right, let's go to the West Branch game. West Branch really showing up against Poland. A lot of people thought Poland the defense was gonna stifle West Branch up to the task, as you and I knew they would, because we had Ken Harris a couple weeks ago.
Again, they have one of the better quarterbacks in the area. DeShields, he's a junior.
Stud.
Those are both juniors. Lowry for Canfield and DeShields for West Branch, and he is a tremendous player, and it starts with him. Now, I know I've watched them play against Salem, and Mara's a good running back, but but it starts and stops with that DeShields, that offense.
Yep.
He's a runner. He's a passer. He's a scholarship player.
Yep.
I watched Perry against Girard last week, and Girard was game for them. They just got kind of overwhelmed by Perry.
Yeah.
But Girard was game, and they kept up. They were running speed option and keeping the ball away from Perry early on. Had some nice long drives, and Perry just had some really tremendous players, and they were able to. I think they had more Jimmys and Joes.
Yeah.
And
is that the case this week?
Boy, that's a great game.
Yeah.
I like West Branch.
I do too.
I do, and they're going to have to play a complete game.
Yep.
But this is the greatest thing. This is the greatest tournament in all of high school, and it's the part of the season where the stars got to shine. And I know it always goes back to this fundamental football. You got to punt well. You got to kick off well. You got to cover those things well. Good special teams. Play field position. Punt when you have to punt. Make the team drive the length of the field, because a lot of times penalties. Make them drive.
Yep.
Don't have no shame in punting. Coach Russ will say, punt the ball.
Yep.
Make them drive the length of the field. It's very difficult to do that this time of the year, because there's a lot of great defenses. So I think people have to be sound and pick and choose when you take your chances. We ran a hook and ladder against Cuyahoga Heights, and it went 80 yards. It could have backfired.
Yeah.
You got to pick and choose when you try those things.
Yeah.
But I like West Branch in a tight game here. I do. And it's going to depend on the Shields.
This game going to be played right over there in Spartan Stadium. Perry traveling 83.2 miles. That's an hour and 25-minute drive. West Branch only 23 miles. It's still a half an hour drive, but you feel like there's a little bit of home field advantage there. And I feel like that's going to be like up in Michigan State, where it's Spartan Stadium up there. It's going to be a lot of green in the stands.
Oh, no, and West Branch has a great following.
Yes, they do.
They have been longing for this.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I think that their fan base it was incredible against Salem a few weeks ago. And I know it's a rivalry game, but they're going to bring just the same amount, probably more. And I think a lot of local people.
I think you're going to see a lot of Salem people at that game.
Yeah.
And this is where it gets fun for me. And you've been part of this, where you don't necessarily have the people from your school just cheering for you. You have the area cheering for you.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to see a lot of that here for West Branch.
I think West Branch wins in a close game.
I love it.
I do. I think they win in a close game.
The receivers have been stepping up to me big, and they're the underdogs in all the stories, because we got Drew DeShields, you got Mara, but at the end of the day, I mean, that catch in the end zone, in Salem, I mean, come on, that was one of the best catches I've ever seen live in my life.
Right, and the pressure and they're kids playing a kid's game, and it's just the moment wasn't too big for them, and that's where heroes are made, in these games, and I like West Branch in a close one, and it's going to be a tough game for them. It is, and I know they're not looking past this, because you can't. But Perry's a really good team.
Yes, they are.
And they've been good, and they've been there.
But at this point, you talk about the chip in the chair. You got to be ready for whoever's going to be on that other side.
It doesn't matter. It really doesn't.
Every team's going to be better at the next round. So we talked about Salem real quick, and that West Branch game. Ursuline outlasting Salem. That was a good game. It felt like Salem just kind of slowed down in the middle of that second quarter and just could not get themselves back up.
Well, Ursuline's great.
Yeah.
Ursuline has a great team. And, Ursuline is loaded with talent. They have good coaching. They have their hands full, because Glenville beat Villangela St. Joe's, kind of beat them to death. And I was really surprised by that.
There's some athletes, dude.
Oh, you know what? That's a pick 'em.
It really is.
I think most of these are pick 'ems, because you could justify the other team. And
the over-under on this game, with all the athletes on the field, it's got to be around 70 or 80.
It could be 70, 80, and then it could be 20.
Oh, yeah,
you just don't know. I mean, athlete for athlete, You would think Glenville has an advantage, and that's really tough because Ursuline has some of the better players in this area. It's Ursuline's very proud tradition. They've been there before.
Yep.
Their coach has a lot of experience in
Yeah.
these games. You got to give him a lot of credit and say, hey, look, if you're going to play Ursuline with this guy as a head coach, he knows how to talk to his kids and get his kids ready for a game. And he's won them. He's won state championships for crying out
That
loud.
has to be an advantage, right?
Experience.
You get to this point, and it's not do or die. You still have 3 rounds left to go. Dan Reardon's not looking at this thinking, okay, if obviously we have to win to go on, but when things get tight at the end of a game, I feel like Coach Reardon is going to be there and say, okay, we're good, cool as a cucumber.
Always, and I always thought that about McDonald and Dan Williams playing them all those years. When you play McDonald, they've had so much success in the history of their history that. And they have such a proud tradition that when you play them in the fourth quarter, their kids believe if it's tight, we're winning.
Yep.
And the coach feeds into that. And I think that Reardon has his work cut out from this week. But I do think this. If someone's going to beat Glenville, it's going to be Ursuline.
So tell me about Ursuline used to going on the road. I mean, they travel all season.
So when they play better competition than most people.
Exactly.
They had a big win against Fitch, Harding at the last seconds.
Oh yeah.
Those are team builders.
Yep.
That's a mark of a great team. And I know that they've gotten beat a few times this year, but who are they getting beat by? People that are darn good. Mm-hmm. Wasn't it Benedictine?
Yep. Akron St. V's.
Those are great teams. Yep. To see Glenville dismantle Akron St. V, that was really
yep.
Or Villa Angela St. Joe's. That was really something. But if I had I'm not going to bet against Ursuline. I think Ursuline's going to win that game.
Ursuline, the Road Warriors, in this one going 77.5 miles.
Yes.
Glenville, 6.6 miles.
Yeah, advantage Glenville. That's different.
I mean, come on. The state's got to be better than that.
Well, and if I'd play into that, and I'm sure Reardon is. Hey, look. This is what they feel about us. This is how they feel about us, and this is how they feel that they're going to level the playing field here. And,
it's wild.
And I'm sure he's going to play into that.
That's absolutely wild. All right, let's get to
I hope they beat them. I do. I hope they beat Glenville. But at the same time, hey, that's a tough task.
Again, they're all going to be tough from here on.
So that's the best part of this. This is a tournament. Let's let them all play. Which college did this more? Instead of taking 4, let's take 16. Have a good time.
Here comes that team from Kirtland.
You got that right.
Playing Garfield at Perry. So they're, Kirtland not necessarily leaving the county, so to speak. Only got to go 25-minute drive, 18.5 miles. Garfield's got to take that trek 40.5 miles. This game could be over in 45 minutes.
Yeah, don't blink. They're both going to run the ball.
Yeah.
They're both tremendous at running the ball. I am done even questioning Garfield. They are tough. They are for real. They have beaten people all year running the football, playing very physical. Mm-hmm. They've thrown the ball when they had to. Mm-hmm. They're very successful doing it because they lull you to death by running. They do that single wing. They do a lot of end over, shifting. I think they do a tremendous job. They're very physical. They're well-deserved to be where they're at. Saying that.
Tall task.
Kirtland has this ability. How many games is it now?
52 straight.
Okay, 52 straight games. It's going to end eventually. Someone's going to beat them. I don't think it's going to be on Friday. Saturday.
I think it doesn't get past.
We'll talk about it next week.
We'll talk about it.
If the right situation happens.
I think Garfield had not only a chance.
They can't beat them.
But listen, this is an opportunity because Garfield, playing a Kirtland, this is a great opportunity for South Range to sit back and watch. Because they play the same defense, Garfield and South Range. So you sit there and you go, okay, what are they not doing that we can do? Or you look at this and you see Garfield beat Kirtland and you go, all right, now we got our matchup.
I just don't feel like when you play a team that runs Stack Eye, Maryland Eye, whatever you want to call it, I don't think that, watching Mooney do it for years, great teams that do it. Hubbard did it for years when they had back. That's where I learned a lot of that stuff, watching those teams, and my father and coaches that coach with them showing us you can't line up in conventional defense. It's a goal line offense, so you have to line up in goal line defense. And if you watch them and you say we're just going to line up and play, well, then you're going to get beat on because they're trying to keep the ball away from you, beat your face in, mangle you, play very physical, and by doing that, when you get the ball. it's high school football. Guys are going both ways a lot of times. You're beat up, and they want to beat you up. And I just feel that you have to get in a goal line defense. And unless your Jimmys and Joes are just better than them.
Yep.
And they're not.
Yeah.
When you play Kirtland, you have to match them with tenacity, and you have to match them with that level of play. And if you don't, and you just come out and you're convinced and say, we do what we do, well, you're going to get beat.
Yep.
You have to have some real strategy against that stack, because that offense is predicated on beating you down, picking up first downs. Then they'll still play action pass from you. But, a pass to Kirtland through the years is belly option. They just run an option.
So in this case, you're saying you can't play not to lose. You have to play to win against Kirtland.
Yeah, you have to sell out.
Yeah.
I think you have to sell out against them. And selling out, now you pick and choose how you line up against that. I don't want to say I don't know it all. But I do know this: when you're playing against a team because I played Kirtland, you're not going to line up in your conventional set. You're not going to line up in. If you run a 3-5, go line up in a 3-5.
Yeah,
you're going to get toast. You got to line up some kind of goal line front, a 6-2 or even a 7-man front, and you have to sell out. I like the 6-5. I like being 6-5 and then rotating. Full flow, split flow, and it's going to be full flow because there's two tight ends.
I love it.
They're coming down, so your corner, when they come down, your corner reads that end. He's flying up. And your secondary a lot of times just rotates. Full flow, split flow. I just think you have to sell out. You have to sell out against them and take your chances. Read your keys, attack. A lot of cutting involved, and you guys got to be brave in the interior from tight end to tight end.
Yep.
And a lot of cutting going on.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's no other way to talk about it, because if you don't and you stand up tall, you're going to get blown off the ball.
Yeah.
And they have technique, and they have 70, 80 guys on their team. So their practices are probably more intense in most of their games. And the carnage that's going to take place with Garrettsville and Kirtland, both teams are going to beat each other up. I'm going to say, I hate to put a spread on that game because, it could be a pick 'em or it could be Kirtland by I think either Kirtland beats them by a few scores or Garrettsville nips them.
Wow.
But if Garrettsville wins, it's going to be close. If Kirtland wins, I think it's going to be like.
So the close game edges Garfield?
Close game would edge Garfield.
Oh, I like it.
Blowout would.
I like it. I like it a lot.
I just have a hard time believing that.
I like it because, listen, they played LeBray. Everybody said, listen, LeBray this is where they are. They're so far advanced over Garfield, and Garfield played
physically dominated.
Yeah. I mean, it was played in a phone booth. Yes. And I said, if that game gets to 20, LeBray advantage. Yeah. If it doesn't, Garfield's got it.
35-14?
No. I don't think it was. I forget what the score was. But it was over quick. I know that because we were sitting there watching. I'm like, okay, that game's over. It's
physical. They want to make. They're going to be game for this. Mosier's been there a long time.
Yep.
They're going to be game for this.
So if you were in Coach Mosier's seat, you're keeping Kirtland off the field.
Well, you're going to try. You're going to try to put
just
what's your game?
4 yards at a time.
Well, that's your game. So, this is playoff football. Dance with who brought you.
Dema is one of the best running backs that doesn't get any attention.
He's awesome. He's awesome, and don't think for a second that they don't feel they're going to win.
Oh yeah,
Garrettsville Garfield's going to go into that game. Of course, they're the underdog to everybody except the people in their locker room.
Yep.
If they believe we can beat these guys and they have a great plan and they execute it, they can win the game. I just feel if they win, it's going to be tight, and if they lose it, it's going to be like Kirtland Novocaine. Yep. They put it in you, and then slowly you just go numb.
Yep.
And then the next thing you know, it's called the Kirtland Avalanche. You're down 21-0, and you think, what just happened?
Boa constrictor, yeah.
But it'll be a great game. I'm rooting for the Valley team.
I love Garfield. I'm such a fan of them just because of who they are.
Yeah, and they don't get their just due. They don't get it. They haven't gotten it.
If you had to embody Garfield as a person, they're the guy that always goes and doesn't want to get into a bar fight.
The quiet guy at the end of the bar where you say, don't talk, don't mess with that guy.
You know when a fight breaks out, he just kind of puts down his drink and goes, all right, here we go. Rolls up his sleeves and goes to work.
Knocks you out.
I love Garfield because of that. That's a perfect embodiment of who they are. And I love Coach Mosier. I think he's fantastic. All right. Mogador versus LeBray at Niles McKinley. LeBray, they got a tough task, but Coach Armini just continues to get those kids prepared and ready, and they just keep on answering the bell for him.
Yeah, they did. I played them this year, and they did they have a special team. Mm-hmm. LeBray has a special team. I bet if you ask Armini, it's the best team he's had since he's been there. Mm-hmm. And I did ask him, and he's loaded with talent. Mogador, to me, is one of the most traditionally winning programs in the state of Ohio. I don't know too many more towns that take pride in their team and their program than Mogador.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to Adorney the other day. He has a lot of respect for LeBray. He said, my God, they're better than us, man for man. But they're going to play Mogador brand of football. They moved. Mogador had a back named Knight, and he got hurt. And he was a state wrestler the last few years. And he's been starting since a sophomore, maybe even freshman year. He's a senior now. And their team kind of changed when he got banged up. They moved to their tight end about 6'3", 240 to fullback. And they have a lot of success. They run lead. They get in a T formation. They run lead with their fullback. That's what they do. And they do other things, but they start in T.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be a very interesting game. They're going to get big splits. They're going to attack LeBray. It's going to be a phone booth. They're going to put them in a phone booth, and they're going to challenge them. I think LeBray has the ability to beat them. That game, again, I would like to see the Valley team do well. It's a pick 'em. History tells me Mogador is going to win that game. History tells me Mogador is winning, but history told me Mogador was going to beat Springfield 2 years ago.
There you go.
Mr. Brungard said, I don't think so.
Yeah. This game being on turf.
Yes.
In Niles. With an athletic team like LeBray, the three-headed monster they have, do you feel that's an advantage for the Vikings?
It's matchups. I threw against Mogador this summer, and skill guys, man for man, I felt really good. And we played against LeBray, and they had great skill. But this game is now, football is not it's a game where hitting. The better hitting team as the game wears on, and they don't screw up. If you hit well, and you could level the playing field. Mogador is going to try to bludgeon them.
Yeah,
they're going to try to put them in a phone booth and bludgeon them to death. LeBray has better athletes, and LeBray's physical. I know that they may have lost the game this year. They lost it to a great Garrettsville team, and that's one game. And you know what? Any given Friday night, anything can happen. These are kids playing.
Yep.
So you know what? Maybe they just didn't play well. And that's happened to us a couple times on Friday. So I like LeBray's chances in this game. I think that on paper they're the better team, but they're going to go play the tradition, and history will say the tradition's going to win.
That's it.
But I like LeBray in this game. I really do. I do, and I think Armini is going to get to a regional championship game, and he's going to have his hands full that game too. But that's high school football. This is the best part of the season. It's the greatest tournament in Ohio, and we're at the thick of things.
And you talk about who Coach Armini and the Vikings would meet. Well, you and I have a special affinity for Springfield, and they're playing Columbia Station at Marlington. Usually when that Columbia usually comes with an Anna at the end around here. So they get to play at a beautiful facility, both teams. But Marlington, an orange and black team, Springfield, an orange and black team, the home away from home, and we know Springfield travels very
they're going
to
bring the juice. I'm going to say this. Columbia has Coach Ward. Jason Ward, I've coached with him in the North-South game.
Okay.
Jason is a tremendous guy.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, and you could look at the history of Columbia. He's been there. He's been in the playoffs almost every year, and he's had a lot of success. And this is one of his better teams. And I watched Springfield last week against Norwayne. And boy, Mr. Brungard is something else. He's a living legend playing football. There's not too many guys that you could say they're a legend while they're playing. He's a legend while he's playing. And I think that Springfield's going to go to another state championship. I'm saying that just with his experience and the rest of the team getting better throughout the season. I know they lost Medvick, that kicker from last year.
But Kosik's amazing. He's a freshman.
He's doing a great job.
Drilling 50-yarders.
And Guerrero has that group cooking. And with the experience, and, they really believe. They really believe. And you know what? They lost a lot of guys last year, but they really believe. And, boy, it's easy to rally around Hercules. And this is their opportunity, and Mr. Brungard ain't going to go out quietly.
Is there a better embodiment of a program in a town than Bo Brungard? I mean, size isn't necessarily there for your natural quarterback that you're looking for at the next level. The kid's going to YSU.
Yeah.
But he's the guy that nobody ever gives him really a shot, right? We heard about it. Okay, after they lost to South Range week 1, oh, this isn't the same. They lost too much. There's a level of almost like they click it in a drive.
He's the best high school football player in the area.
And I want to see somebody that argues that.
And I'm not taking it. We'll talk about these quarterbacks in a minute. There's not a player. If you started a draft, okay, right now, you start with the quarterback.
Yeah.
And there's no one that has more experience, success, and I don't want to say ability because a lot of these guys have ability, but that does it in that 2.5 hour window on Friday night, that displays it. He does it, and he's really something else. And I think they beat Columbia. I think Columbia is really good.
How much has the experience helped a team like Springfield over the last 3 years?
Oh, come on. You're playing an extra 5 games.
Yeah, you're playing a whole season.
And think about that. The seniors on this team have played countless games. I remember Western Reserve one year. My seniors played, after being to a couple state semifinals, you start playing 14 games, 13 games, and 14 games again. When you're a senior, you've played another season, an extra season. They played an extra season. So you know what? I take Springfield in that game. I think it's going to be a great game to watch, and I think as the game wears on, Springfield pulls away, and they're going to end up playing LeBray in the regional championship,
which is going to be a dream matchup.
That's
I can't wait.
One. And you know what? No matter what happens in those games, they should be those programs: Mogador, LeBray, Columbia Station, and Springfield. They're all winners, man. All these teams are with the seasons they had. Unless you win the state championship, you lose. So it's at what point? You know what I mean? Hey, we have to talk about D5 South Range here.
Well, I was just going to get to that. I wanted to talk about Springfield first, but let's go Garaway versus South Range at Louisville. We talk about Springfield being that team. Listen, you and I kind of went over South Range. To me, if I'm putting Skittles down on the table, has the most opportunity to get to a state championship. Yes, they have to go through Garaway here. Yes, they have to go through either Kirtland or Garfield. But, man, to me, you know how the AFC, NFC championships are? A lot of times better than the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I think the next 2 weeks are going to be better than any state championship we can see.
It's young people trying to get there, and the clawing and the fighting that goes on to try to get there, really caring. I think that South Range, they're a machine right now, and I think that they're coached as good as anybody in this area.
Agreed.
And I think maybe better.
Team of destiny. I mean, really, you think about it, because all I keep hearing, and you hear the same things I do, okay, this is the week South Range falls. This is the week because this is the matchup. They're still putting 40 points on the board every single week.
They've played as tough a schedule as anybody. I know the bigger schools in this area, Boardman, Fitch, Harding, Ursuline, Mooney, play each other. And what makes you think South Range with this team couldn't at least go out and fight them? Because some of these other teams, I'm really honest.
I'm with you.
Because they went through a real brutal schedule, 10-0, really licked most of them. And I don't think that this Sugar Creek Garaway, I've looked at their schedule. I know that another team that's always around, always winning, they haven't played nobody like this yet. And I think that South Range, as the game wears on, if someone told me the spread was 20 points, I'd take South Range.
I said yesterday it's South Range by 3 scores. And I'm not saying that to disrespect Garaway.
No. I have nothing against them.
They're that good. Yeah. And we talked about it last week. As good as the offense has been and hyped up all season for the last 13 weeks, that defense, oh my goodness,
they fly to the ball, don't they?
Oh,
next man up too.
I mean, when you have guys that are saying that's the hardest I've ever been hit after a game, and they are elite runners in the nation, not just in the like, that's special.
Yeah, I believe South Range is on the same course.
I really think so.
On the same tracks as Kirtland.
Listen, I'm going to be listening to Rocky montage videos that week. I'll be pumping just for the range.
Right. I take South Range in this one big. No, nothing against any of these teams, but if you're a bet man, you don't bet South Range.
You ain't going to be bet man for long.
You're nuts. So I take the Raiders in a big way. Then you go down to 7.
Come on, man. JFK.
Well, Kennedy, I think, is going to win against St. Paul. They play where? Medina?
Yeah, they're playing in Medina.
I've played there before. It's a great stadium.
Now, is this an omen? Okay, Kennedy, obviously a Catholic school, has to travel 66.6 miles to get doorstep to doorstep. I said pick them up, a tenth of a mile down the road. I don't want that. That's bad juju to me.
How about St. Paul? How far do they got to travel?
They have 43.3 miles. So you got an hour and 14-minute drive for JFK and a 58-minute drive for St. Paul.
St. Paul has Coach Living Good is the coach at St. Paul. He's won state championship. He plays a brand of football that we don't see mostly around here. They break the huddle, they run to the ball, and they snap the ball very quickly.
I remember that. They played last year, I think.
They play a brand of football, very physical. And guys are diving at the defensive guys. Like, you don't see it a lot. Saying that, I think Kennedy's going to rough them up.
I mean, they put 50-some points up last week, 57 the week before.
They have a great physical team. Their front seven on defense is very physical. I was surprised how physical they really were.
Outscoring their first two postseason opponents, 119-28. All 28 points coming last week, by the way.
Right. No, I think that St. Paul's good. I mean, 9-1. They lost maybe a Crestview. Not the Crestview from around here, but maybe it was a Crestview.
Side,
yeah. But I think that Kennedy is going to rough them up as the game wears on, and I think they're on a collision course with Dalton in the regional championship. Dalton plays Lucas. Lucas is tough. I played them before. Played Dalton before, and I was at Mineral Ridge.
They're favorites.
It's always the same teams that are around, isn't it? It's always the same teams. People that value their program, and kids play a certain way because it means a lot for them to wear that helmet and represent their school. I think Dalton and Kennedy are on a collision course for Division 7 regional championship. That'll be a fun game. Oh, I think that one. We'll have something to talk about next week.
That'll be a fun game. All right. That concludes the preview. We're going to talk about your quarterback.
Now, see, this is what we got to do.
I can't wait.
I'm going to name these quarterbacks. And I'd like someone to tell me what year had more talent than this year.
And don't forget, you can chime in here on the Kufleitner comment section.
Sure. And you know what? I just want to know the year and the players because I'm going to name some of these guys. West Branch, DeShields, Jr., big year. Shannon at Ursuline. Devin Sherwood at Austintown Fitch.
Devin Sherwood's good.
I mean, come on, this guy's great. He's been there for years. Stevens at LeBray.
Aiden Stevens. Yeah.
Aiden's going to Yale. I mean, this tremendous player. Ron Johnson's son.
Junior
at Salem. He is a great player. Run, pass. He sits at the dinner table with his dad. So you know what? He's constantly talking football. Brock Lowry at Canfield.
Stud.
Brock Lowry. My quarterback threw for 1,600 yards this year, and he's not like some of these guys.
Yeah.
But he threw for 1,600 yards this year, and we played 9 games.
Yep.
And Joey Batista had a hell of a year. Skirpak from South Range. What a player. What a leader.
And I say this because we cover them every week, and it's usually me. We don't even give him the respect that he's due because he's broken so many records this year that nobody knows about yet.
Yes.
And he can do it with his legs and his arm.
Right.
And he has,
he's a junior.
11 for 13 most games. He's doing most of this with less throws.
I mean, really, if he threw the ball as much as some of these other guys, what if they went 5 wide, whipped it around?
Oh,
don't tell me they can't do it. They can do it. That's not what their game is, And to say this, the Shields, Johnson, Lowry, and Skirpak are all back next year.
Yeah.
They're all juniors. And then finally, last but not least, Mr. Bo Brungard, who I feel it's not head and shoulders. That's not what I'm saying. But again, if we were drafting in this area and I got the first pick, I'm picking Bo Brungard. And then I'm going to, build a team around him and say, good luck, everybody, because I just feel that what he has done in his career, is it safe to say it's unmatched in this area? Now, I want to think.
I don't want to think about that resume.
2 state championships. He's going for his 3rd. I don't know. They lost 1 game his senior year. His junior year and sophomore year, were they both 10-0?
I believe so.
This is a guy that is bred to play the game. Some guys are just born to do certain things. Some guys are painters. Some guys are writers. Some guys are work on cars. Some guys. This guy was born to play ball. It seems like he's a great leader. It seems like everybody rallies around him. He has great spirit. He has a great family.
Yep.
And then he can play the game like none other. So I would take him. Now, that's 9 quarterbacks in this area this year, and I'm leaving out guys. Hey, I'm not.
You have Fulton.
How about Fulton at Poland?
Yeah.
How about
Cusick at Crestview? I mean, you look
think
at
about these guys.
Yep.
And those are two guys that are great players.
Yep.
The boy at Middle Ridge had a great year.
Oh yeah.
Bunch had a great year, and the boy at McDonald ran all over the place this year. There's a lot of guys. I saw Gerard play 2 quarterbacks last week, the Valley boy and Bengala, and I thought these guys are young guys and they're really good. I just think that the quarterback play in this area right now at this moment is as good as it's ever been, and the talent's as good as it's ever been. And I'm not saying the best guy. I'm saying the amount of talent.
Yep.
This is the best quarterback class in this area I can remember.
I find it hard to disagree. You think about it just at the top when you talk about Bo Brungard. Think about that resume. A chance to go to 3 state titles. I mean, even those teams over there that will assuredly talk about in the weeks to come in the MAC, the West, like
they don't want to play him.
No.
Go ask Coldwater how they feel about Bo Brungard.
They don't like it.
They're going to say, we got away with one.
Yep.
We got away with one.
Yep.
And he has the ultimate respect and from coaches and admirers of football in this area. And same thing with the rest of these guys: Shield, Shannon, Sherwood, Stevens, Johnson, Lowry.
You know what I love?
Skirt Pack.
And Bo plays both ways.
Oh.
How easy would it be for them or him to say, I'm only going to be a quarterback? I think he projects to a defensive player at the next level.
He hits.
But, like, that is your quarterback out there just dropping bombs on some of the best players in the area, some of the best players in the state. Not afraid. Plays with no fear. And that's what I love about.
I wish they would play South Range Week 10. Now, that would have been a great one. Because you know what? South Range roughed them up earlier in the year. I think it was 42-21. And they kind of had their way with them. It was week 1.
Now, listen,
Springfield is breaking in a lot of new players.
I'm going to argue with you on this one because I think South Range defense got better all the way through
100%.
the year.
That's why I want to watch your game. That's why I want to see it. I want to see those. I'd pay to see that one.
Yep.
And but I'm really excited about this season, and it's been a lot of fun doing this with you. And the great thing about it is it's not done. It's not done. It's actually in the thick of things. Things are really heating up. The best teams, and you're actually seeing, for the most part, the teams that are bracketed in the top 1 through 6. They're the ones hanging around here at the end.
Cream of the crop's coming, baby.
Hey, it's here. It's here.
The Macho Man.
Yeah,
we got the Batman here.
Yeah, well, you know what?
That was the best line all year.
The Batman.
I'm the Batman.
But again, this has been a great, fun season, and it's not done. And hopefully the area is represented by these great teams, and we'll be back here next week and pick up where we left off. And I can't wait to see these regional championship games. But the clawing and the fighting that's going to go on to get there this week.
We're going to get you in the booth. That's what we're going to get you. Some of these matchups, we have to get you in the booth for that.
I love high school football, and I'd rather be doing nothing else.
One of the things that I wanted to talk to you about before we leave, we have a couple minutes left. This week, Veterans Day.
Yeah.
On Thursday. I know that this country means so much to you, and the veterans mean so much to you. Talk to me about why it's so important to you, with Thursday coming up and being Veterans Day.
Well, I think that when first of all, veterans represent the best part of us. And throughout human history, countries, nations rise and fall through veterans, through their veterans, through the people that sacrificed the ultimate, their lives, in order to defend a cause. And in our case, it's freedom. I have the utmost respect for all veterans. I believe that we don't operate properly in honoring our veterans. And sometimes honoring is a funny thing. You can honor a veteran before the game or salute your veterans, but what are you really doing for them? And instead of giving a lot of our nation's wealth to a lot of these causes that we do sometimes that I don't understand, I don't even want to get into that. I like the idea of taking care of your veterans first. And I don't know exactly how you go about doing that. Maybe you give them land, maybe you give them this, maybe you give them that. I don't know what you do. But if anybody deserves credit in our country, $1 million deals. You look at these professional players arguing like babies sometimes over, and they're the wealthiest people. People that are billionaires, more concerned about sending planes up into space than they are taking care of their fellow man. We should take care of our veterans first, And Veterans Day should be not just a national, it should be a sense of holiness, Veterans Day, because it's the best of what we got. It's the best of who we are. And to me, there's no more important day. And you know, I people I'm sure can argue Christmas, saying because Christ and the religious situation there, or Easter.
From a country's holiday.
From a country's holiday, Memorial Day and Veterans Day should be holy days like those 2 days. And as an American, the greatest honor I've ever had was when the VFW made me Teacher of the Year in the state of Ohio. And it wasn't coaching. I love coaching, but even for them to recognize, say, hey, you're the Teacher of the Year in the state of Ohio from our perspective, and to represent them and go around the state and speak at a few events and honoring them and speaking about them was the greatest accomplishment for me, a highlight for me personally. And veterans, it's one thing we could all unite about. You and me can disagree about a lot of things in the country when we start talking. Border security, giving money to this group or that group, or what do we really represent? We can always rally around the flag, and because that should be what represents all of us.
Agreed.
And the veterans that represent are the flag. That we could take that time for the national anthem just to honor those who died and sacrificed, and it's the veterans. And there's no more important holiday to me.
Protect those who protect you.
You got that right, buddy. So, because we wouldn't be doing this.
No chance.
If we didn't have the blanket of security and the umbrella of security of liberty, and
we'd be speaking in a different language, that's for sure.
You darn right. And and I know a lot of people, the uneducated, are going to say that's just nationalistic talk. That's just patriotic, nationalistic, conservative talk. That's not true. I think that's reaching across both aisles when you talk like that. And our leaders need to talk like that. Yep. You know what I mean? And put those people first. And if you're going to give money away to any group of people, if you're going to, have a redistribution of wealth to any group of people in our country, it should be them first. And that's just how I feel. And I know that a lot of people feel like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So make sure this Thursday you get out there on behalf of yourself, your family, and thank a veteran, because it is that important. They sacrificed, sometimes the ultimate sacrifice, so you can have your freedoms. That's Andy Hake. I'm DJ Yoakley. This has been Hake's Take, episode 1 from Kufleitner's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram here in Boardman. We'll see you next time.
America.